Thank you. Nice to meet everybody. Just to give you a little bit of context, for the last 30 odd years, I've been working in community-based neuro-rehabilitation services for adults and young adults a lot of the time, and also children. And part of the challenges I've had with the teams of operating neuro-rehabilitation units in the community was always about transition. And some of those challenges was also accessing therapists of the right quality, particularly when I'm not from an NHS background, which also gives me a lot of more flexibility in terms of how we approach things and stuff. So I got really interested in looking at digital options. Got really frustrated with a number of digital programs I was involved with trying to run. With a lot of therapists out there finding it very difficult to adopt digital solutions. They often saw it as a challenge to their own profession, and there was lots of times where they see it as a threat rather than the opportunity. And it's been some of the work that we're trying to do at the moment, as well as this being an active program. The bit that I like about this program is about the accessibility and how we can use it, how I could access and provide continuity of more therapy on a continuity basis, not just in inpatient units, but out in the community regularly, flexibly, and cheaply, to be able to allow people to access therapy more regularly. This isn't a replacement for hands-on therapy. This is something that should work alongside hands-on. It's something that's a tool for therapists, and the more creative therapists can be, it should enable that we can provide more therapy, more time, more regularly for more people. And so really as a take-home message, this isn't about selling a platform. This system is available with, I'll come on to it in a second. It was developed at Sheba Hospital in Israel. Sheba it's up there, I think, in number 5 this year as one of the top 10 hospitals in the world. The difference with Sheba Hospital compared to what you might think of hospitals here in the UK is they have the benefit, I wish we did, of looking at the whole system. Our system here in the UK is very fragmented between hospitals, community, social care, housing, and the budgets that go along with those things often cause most of the problems.
Is Great Ormond Street one of the best hospitals?
Yes, it certainly is. Yeah, it certainly is. And not Sheba in terms of the hospital. So the slight difference with Sheba in terms of how it works, it provides a whole system for the country. So what they've also created, which I'll bring on to ReAbility Online, is they're looking to digitalize their entire hospital system. Because of the way the system works, to be able to provide continuity for people and access and reach, they realize they have to do things better and different rather than place-based solutions all the time. There's still a time and place for place-based solutions, but going forward, there has to be that. We have to get through this, I see as an opportunity rather than a threat to embrace digital adoption. Some of the work we're doing with success at the moment, we're doing presentations to 1,000 students on Monday to try and get them to see this as the future, not as a replacement for hands-on therapy and quality, but to work alongside it as a tool for therapists to use amongst all the other things that they do. So Helen, as you know, she's the root of most everything that goes on here today. Before I was involved in the program, I got involved in the program because I wrote a massive ranting message in the Neuro-Rehab Times. So I was so frustrated. I was working with other digital solutions to try and embrace, to help me use technology within an inpatient unit. So when people discharge from an inpatient unit, they could go with some continuity of care. I was continually frustrated. I didn't understand because my background possibly helps because I'm not from a healthcare background. And I was always wanting to try and challenge the normal pathways of work and how things work. So Helen came up with the idea. She met Mr. Rubin from Sheba and some of the people out there through her contacts. There was a small pilot that was run just before COVID hit. And unfortunately, that put a little bit of an abeyance into everything else. But for me, COVID really should be the reason why everyone should hopefully realize they need to embrace digital things a little bit more constructive. So at the moment, we've developed a program. There's a new pilot program that's been underway since autumn. Some of the volunteers are in the audience, where we had 10 young adults who went through the first cohort. There's another 10 people on employment. Success through their wonderful work have raised funds for another 30. So we've still got availability after this. If everyone's interested, just come and let us know. You can see if you want to jump in the program because you're very much more than welcome. So that's how we got forward, and that's where we are. So the most important thing for me, for this system, you do not have to buy any equipment. There's no capital expense for you or the commissioner or anybody can say it costs too much. No. So the most important thing for me is where the real development, this is what Sheba have done. They haven't created a single application or a single piece of kit. It's a system to create digital access across that whole hospital system. And this is only one little element of what that system can do. It's an entire architecture that sits across that health system. I'll show you some of the features they can provide. Importantly, if you have a laptop or a PC with a camera, that's it. And also advise, some people might know, it works better on Chrome. So we ask you to use the Chrome. It's optimized on Chrome. Fundamentally, that's how accessible it is. You can take your laptop or you can use your school laptop. You don't have to use a dedicated laptop. You get an individual login to wherever you want access to the facility. So the benefit from that is the therapist will meet you, do an assessment as part of your overall program. Now we're doing this as a little program with some young adults, but normally this would sit alongside other things that you would do with your therapist as well. And I'm sure we'll embrace that going forward in the future. But you will be created with an individual tailored program on a weekly basis for things for you to follow and a program that's visual and accessible in your own home or at school. That's a mixture of video-based technology, AI-based technology, games, interactive systems, which we can show you in a minute, how you interact with the system. One of the great bits of real benefits, there's a video library, there's hundreds and hundreds of videos. One of the nice things we've done, we've created already a new 20 since the first cohort of information, because we can upload videos in minutes on MP4 files. So the therapist, when they scroll through, in the same way I'll show you in a second, creating a playlist, so they can create a playlist of videos that they want you to follow. They can create a range of different games that they can change the sensitivity and the technology. When I show you the hand-based movement, the body tracking systems, also the pace depends on the individual case. The therapist can change the sensitivities depending upon the individual needs or the abilities of each child. And all that stuff is motion captured. And the real benefit, that's the only one I'm aware of that can do the motion capture just through a laptop. Everything else needs specialist cameras and bits of kit at the moment to do that. So this is our program, the engineer and the bright idea of success, which is great, which we're happy to support. My role here is in the UK. These guys reached out to me because they're looking to see, could this work in the UK? We're already using it over here in Sheba. They've delivered over 250,000 of sessions already over the last number of years, and it's being used on a regular basis. It's structured, interactive, online, free, which is important for everybody. In this case, thank you to Success for that in terms of raising it. We don't charge anything, but we have to recruit and pay for individual independent therapists, and that's basically what that funding pays for, pretty much. The 12-week program, well, it actually started out as an idea of a 12-week program, and what we're doing is we're capturing with Success at the beginning, at the end, some qualitative data. They're going through at the moment. Jenny's going to be reporting on something later, the quantitative data. Because what the system does is when you're doing your homework, it tracks everything. Yeah. So one of the reasons adherence has gone through the roof in Israel, and as a result of adherence, I mean, people actually doing it. And the reason the outcomes have gone through the roof is because you can't just sign on and not do anything. The system will track if you're actually doing your squats. You can't just sign on the squat program, as you know, we've learned on the animations. The system, body mapping system. So every week, what will happen, how the program works, is once a week, we also, on the same system, you have a live session with a therapist. The request, ideally, is to do 2 or 3 times a week your own individual program. The therapist can see the data in terms of not just how long you've been on, but what you've been doing and how well you've been doing in certain areas or not. So what they can do with working with you and playing the games interactively using the system can then edit for the next week, either making things more difficult, making things less sensitive, more sensitive, to then hopefully come up with a solution for you to go away with and crack on with your homework. And I know this myself. I had a leg injury recently. I sent a bit of paper from the NHS with 12 exercises to do. And it's still a job. It's the same, but those exercises you'll see will come alive. I think I probably said most of that. Individual assessment. The first phase is already done. The second phase is underway. And part of this is very much a pilot. It's a learning program. And we're getting feedback from people and families about how we can adapt this system to work more specifically for you as users. So I appreciate your involvement. The ones who are here and anybody else wants to get involved with it. This isn't a solution we're looking to pump out in terms of a commercial element. Success would ideally like this to roll out and become their own program. And Helen would like to raise enough money that she can continue to provide this. So that gap that she's seen as a clinician, when they talk about your treatment is done, then you fall off a cliff. So this is an active, and because of the way it works, it can be, and I'll show you some of the other reasons how it works as well, a very economic solution to at least not fix everything, but it's a solution that can sit alongside hopefully. And if you've got nothing, it's considerably better than nothing. So this is Sarah. I thought this was another video before this, doesn't matter. Sarah? Did you have Keith? Keith, okay. There's 2 therapists we're doing at the moment. There's also a bunch of OTs at the moment working with me who are going to come on to the next program. This is Sarah. She's one of the pediatric, one of the therapists who work with us. This was from the conference a couple of years ago, but it should play, hopefully.
Hello. My role as a therapist starts with the initial assessment, where I get to meet you and find out what your needs and goals are. And you get to test out the awesome interactive platform and sample some of the many games available. ReAbility Online is unique in that each game played is modified to suit you, making therapy personal, interactive, fun, and best of all, you can do it at home as often as you like. We as therapists will then join you virtually for 1 session a week in which we give you some feedback and you can adapt your games in line with your progress and even add new ones in if you're ready. It's the future of therapy, and I personally love that I get to join in and sometimes compete against you too. I would now like to ask Dr. Helen.
She's everywhere. So that's one of the therapists to deliver the program. You'll probably see here now. I'll show you some of the stuff in a minute. Ollie doesn't mind. He's one of the participants in the program. He's 19. You can see Sarah here. So what you got here, this is the therapist view. So this is what Sarah's seeing. Because she gets a cheat code. This is a game called Memory. What you see down here are the hands. The interactive system depends upon individuals on the camera, which we can show you on some demos, particularly outside of the big screen maybe later if we've got enough time, is the camera picks up your entire body map. So when you're involved in the games, they're a mixture of, some of the games are just purely physical, some are a mix that they refer to as cognitive motion. It's a mixture of cognitive activity and physical activity, like this particular game, where it's a traditional game of memory. The user, all he can see is blank cards. What he has to do, which you'll see in a second, is move his hands over the cards to reveal them. That can be made, you can put up to 32 cards on there to make it really complex and very specific on hand movement. Hopefully this will show all your action.
So placing your hands over the cards. Now what you don't realise is I can actually see the answers. So my screen looks different to yours. Yours is blank cards, isn't it? And I can see the correct answers for you. So if I wanted to help, I could be kind. That's it. Keep your hand over that one, and then find another one to match it.
Yeah.
Well done.
One so easy as cake.
I can make it more difficult for you if you would like. That's the beauty of this system. Well done.
In this particular case, again, what this system provides is the opportunity for therapists to be creative. It's a tool. We'll show you some of the other interesting bits. So you can use both hands, or you can challenge your user just to use the right particular reasons to hold it in place and build strength, formation, core strength and stuff. But we'll show you a couple of the games. This is Ollie. So what Ollie can see is this big screen, a different game called Elephant. It's set up in different ways. In this particular case, Ollie really wanted to do some work on his right leg. And so you can set the system up to be able to move the elephant on the body tracking. He actually has to walk. For those who don't need that or can't do that in the system, the elephant will move automatically. What he's got to use is the rest of his body with the game to interact. It's a game where he has to catch the donuts in the right color, in the right order. If he catches them in the wrong order, then he gets in trouble.
That's it. So you need to be marching to get the elephant moving. Well done. Oliver, that's great. And then using your arm to bring it up and down to eat the fruit. the donuts, the leaves, but not the birds. That's really good marching, well done. That's it, avoid the bird. Fantastic, that's it, get that ring, arm up, well done.
Yeah, what is one?
So,
different
writing the screen using both hands. That's it.
Get out, Dad.
And you have to reach to the top of the screen, to the corners. Well done. Using both hands if you can, Oliver. Well done.
We're doing some building blocks with this system as well. We're not really utilising just yet the full extent for the occupational therapy platform or the speech and language. There's a whole host of other stuff. So you can see the RDP function up there. This is a bit that I really like as a provider of services. This system isn't built to be inclusive as an app or restrictive. RDP is remote desktop. What that does in the same way in terms of IT specialists, when you get stuck and you need someone to kind of hold your computer and sort it out for you, you as a therapist, following GDPR rules, accept. You as a therapist can ask that user, can I come in and join your laptop? And the answer is yes or no, it's yes, and you can join in. What that gives you in an interactive live session is the opportunity. It could be anything. It could be planning for a trip. It could be, and then with that therapist can then access Trainline, or you can go onto any range of rehabilitation services that are available online and use them. Other services, nothing to do with ReAbility Online, they can all be used within the system at the same time so it becomes more truly integrated. There's the platform itself, which you can see down here. There's a bit in option. If we have, I think we're out of time here, we can do some demos. So these are the range of applications. The therapist will not necessarily put all those applications on, depending upon what the individual user's needs are. So they can choose from a range of different applications. Studio, I'm not sure if don't think there's a video in here about it. Let's just see. I'm going to skip, but you've seen that one. The body mapping and the game. So Studio, there's hundreds and hundreds. For the therapist, you can go through, I can play, say, I want to do some left leg balance standing support. You can go through just through the check. And then what you can create for that individual is maybe 10, depends on the individual's abilities or what you would really like to focus on. So as well as the games, they get to go through that, they follow those videos, and those videos get tracked and monitored. So there's a range of different stuff. And again, part of the learning, we're creating new content all the time because it's easy to upload. This is a really good example. This is Alex. There's a comment from this family about the use on phase 1 that we've just been through. We also start at the beginning of this program doing 3 basic goals that we ask the user or the family or a combination thereof to define before we start that 12-week program. Those 12 weeks are sometimes taking 14 or 15 weeks now, as we've learned. We need a little bit of flexibility. But what we've done in here, one of Alex's key goals is he really wanted to ride a bike again. That was his first goal. I want to ride a bike. So Sarah had a word with his family, asked them to go and purchase a brace. And then she started doing all the sessions on the system in terms of his core balance and skills when he was actually sitting on a bike. So that's an idea, not the system, that's the creativity of the therapist to use it as a tool. And that's great for Sarah because she obviously just did that herself. But that's the opportunity for therapists out there, how you can use this technology yourselves to do things more creatively. It's not a threat, it's an opportunity. But that's some observations, a few pictures. There's a couple more in there. I recognise the back of somebody's head there. A couple of other users from the first cohort, another family, and some comment from some of the children who've been involved so far. Summary up. Oh, right on. Yeah, you're not bad. Sorry, I know I do talk quick, but I was under time pressure. So, as a summary, enables high quality therapy. It means you can get some therapy wherever you are, whenever you are. Even if it's with a therapist, or at least it's a program that's been designed for you by a therapist and it gets reviewed regularly. It's free and flexible access. As long as you've got a laptop or access to a computer, that's the only barrier that exists. You just need that one bit of technology, but hopefully most homes have them these days. And if you don't, Success have also accessed the opportunity to provide a laptop. If any child here or family does not have a laptop, let us know, because we'll give you one to use for the program should you be interested. Supported independent practice. So when you're on the system, one of the things that's really interesting, we're just having a chat, I think it was yourself before, Gina, about AI. The AI system, there's stuff on here for the therapist where you can set compensation settings. So we can start looking, rather than just the number of movements that you're actually doing, it's going to help with the quality. So you can set barriers, and what's going to happen now on the next version releasing is the AI bot is going to come on there when the therapist is not doing that and saying, can you do this, please? Can you do that, please? So rather than just tracking it, it's going to start giving proactive support. Regular access to one-to-one therapist as part of this program. You get an hour a week with a live therapist as part of the success program. Wherever it is, school, home, doesn't really matter. No transport hassle. Hopefully helps in reducing fatigue, because even when you want to do your own session, you don't have to do it in a programmed way like with the therapist. We have an appointment time with the therapist. The rest of your sessions, you can do it wherever you feel like it. But we'd encourage that you do try and do it 2 or 3 times a week to help with the adherence, because success and ourselves really want to try and capture some good outcomes, because that will help us raise some more money. In terms of we need that evidence from this, and that's the rationale, just being fully transparent behind it. The more people get involved, the more we can develop it, the more we capture that information, that gives you guys, because that's one of your professional skills, in terms of fundraising, is that gives them the ammo to say, can we have some money? Because we'd like to continue doing this freely for kids who aren't able to access stuff in the community. Improved adherence. We've already got a few positive outcomes.